Parashat Shemini, Leviticus chapter 9 verse 1 to chapter 11 verse 47. Chapter 9. Now it happened on the 8th day that Moses called Aaron, his sons, and the elders of Israel. Then he said to Aaron, "Take a calf from the herd for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering, both without blemish, and offer them before Adonai. You are to speak to Bnei Yisrael, saying, Take a male goat for a sin offering, along with a calf and a lamb, both yearlings without blemish, for a burnt offering, plus a bull and a ram for fellowship offerings, to sacrifice before Adonai, along with a grain offering mixed with oil. For today Adonai appears to you." So they brought what Moses commanded before the tent of meeting, and the entire congregation drew near and stood before Adonai. Moses said, "This is what Adonai commanded that you shall do, so that the glory of Adonai may appear to you." Moses said to Aaron, "Draw near to the altar and bring your sin offering and your burnt offering, and make atonement for yourself and for the people. And present the offering for the people and make atonement for them, as Adonai commanded." So Aaron drew near to the altar and slaughtered the calf of the sin offering, which was for himself. The sons of Aaron presented the blood to him. Then he dipped his finger in the blood, dabbed it onto the horns of the altar, and poured out the blood at the base of the altar. But the fat, the kidneys, and the cover from the liver of the sin offering he burned up as smoke on the altar, as Adonai had commanded Moses. The flesh and the hide he burned in a fire outside the camp. Aaron slaughtered the burnt offering. Then his sons presented the blood to him, and he splashed it around on the altar. They handed the burnt offering to him piece by piece, along with the head, and he burned them up as smoke on the altar. He washed the innards and the legs, and he offered them in smoke upon the burnt offering on the altar. Then he presented the people's gift, took the goat of the sin offering which was for the people, slaughtered it, and offered it for sin, just like the first one. He presented the burnt offering and offered it according to the decree. Then Aaron presented the grain offering, filling his hand with some of it, and burning it up as smoke on the altar, alongside the burnt offering of the morning. He also slaughtered the bull and the ram as the sacrifice of fellowship offerings for the people. Then his sons brought him the blood, which he splashed around on the altar, as well as the fat from the bull and the ram, the fat tail and the layer over the innards, along with the kidneys and the covering of the liver. They put the fat upon the breasts, and he burned it on the altar. But the breasts and the right thigh Aaron waved for a wave offering before Adonai, as Moses had commanded. Then Aaron lifted up his hands toward the people and blessed them. Then he stepped down from presenting the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the fellowship offerings. Moses and Aaron then went into the tent of meeting. When they came back out and blessed the people, the glory of Adonai appeared to all the people. Fire came out from the presence of Adonai and devoured the burnt offering and the fat on the altar. When all the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces. Chapter 10. Now Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, each took his own censer, put fire in it, laid incense over it, and offered unauthorized fire before Adonai, which he had not commanded them. So fire came out from the presence of Adonai and consumed them. So they died before Adonai. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what Adonai spoke of, saying, 'To those who are near me I will show myself holy. Upon the faces of all the people I will be glorified.'" Then Aaron kept silent. Then Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Aaron's uncle Uzziel, and said to them, "Come near, carry your relatives away from the front of the sanctuary to outside of the camp." So they drew near and carried them, still in their tunics, outside of the camp, as Moses had said. Then Moses said to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar his sons, "Do not uncover your heads or tear your clothes, so you may not die, and he will not be angry with the entire congregation. But let your kinsmen, the whole house of Israel, mourn over the burning that Adonai has kindled. You must not go out from the entrance of the tent of meeting, or you will die, for the anointing oil of Adonai is on you." So they acted according to the word of Moses. Adonai spoke to Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine or fermented drink, neither you nor your sons with you, when you go into the tent of meeting, so that you do not die. This is to be a statute forever throughout your generations. You are to make a distinction between the holy and the common, and between the unclean and the clean. And you are to teach Bnei Yisrael all the statutes which Adonai has spoken to them through Moses. Moses spoke to Aaron and to Eleazar and Ithamar, his surviving sons. Take the grain offering left over from Adonai's offerings by fire, and eat it without hametz beside the altar, for it is most holy. You are to eat it in a holy place, because it is your portion and your son's portion of the offerings of Adonai made by fire. For so I have been commanded. You are to eat the breast that was waved and the thigh that was presented in a clean place, you, your sons and your daughters with you, for they are given as your portion and your children's portion out of the sacrifices of the fellowship offerings of Bnei Yisrael. They are to bring the thigh that is presented and the breast that is waved with fat portions scorched by fire, to wave it as a wave offering before Adonai. So it will be yours and your sons with you, a share forever, as Adonai has commanded. Then Moses searched carefully for the goat of the sin offering and noticed it had been burned up. So he snapped at Eleazar and Ithamar, the surviving sons of Aaron, saying, Why have you not eaten the sin offering in the place of the sanctuary, since it is most holy? And he gave it to you in order to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before Adonai. Look, its blood was not brought into the inner part of the sanctuary. You certainly shall have eaten it in the sanctuary as I commanded. But Aaron said to Moses, Behold, today they presented their sin offering and their burnt offering before Adonai. When things like these have happened to me, would it have been good in the eyes of Adonai if I had eaten the sin offering today? When Moses heard this, it was good in his eyes. Chapter 11. Adonai spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying to them, Speak to Bnei Yisrael, saying, These are the living things which you may eat among all the animals that are on the earth. Whatever has a split, divided hoof, and chews cud among the animals, that you may eat. Nevertheless, you shall not eat of those that only chew cud, or have a split hoof. The camel, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean to you. The coney, though it chews the cud, yet does not have a divided hoof, so it is unclean to you. The hare, though it chews the cud, does not split the hoof, so it is unclean to you. The pig, though it has a split, divided hoof, does not chew cud, so it is unclean to you. You are not to eat meat from them, nor are you to touch their carcasses. They are unclean to you. From all that are in the waters, you may eat whatever has fins and scales, within the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers. Those you may eat. But any that do not have fins and scales in the seas or the rivers, among those the swarm on the waters, or among any of the living creatures that are in the waters, they are loathsome to you. They are to be detestable to you. You shall not eat meat from them, and you shall detest their carcasses. Whatever has neither fins nor scales in the waters, that is a detestable thing to you. Among the birds you shall detest the following. They are not to be eaten. They are loathsome: the eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, any kind of black kite, any kind of raven, the horned owl, the screech owl, the gull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the stork, any kind of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. All flying insects that walk on all fours are detestable to you. Yet you may eat from all winged creeping things that go on all fours, which have legs above their feet, with which to hop on the earth. You may eat from any kind of locusts, any kind of katydid, any kind of cricket, and any kind of grasshopper. But all winged creeping things that have 4 feet are loathsome to you. Moreover, by these also you will become unclean. Whoever touches their carcasses shall be unclean until the evening. Whoever carries any part of their carcass is to wash his clothes, and it will be unclean until the evening. Every animal with a separating hoof but not split, or does not chew cud, is unclean to you. Everyone who touches them will become unclean. So whatever moves on its paws among all animals that go on all fours is unclean to you. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean until the evening. Whoever carries their carcasses is to wash his clothes and will be unclean until the evening. They are unclean to you. Among the creeping things that creep on the earth, the following are unclean to you: the weasel, the rat, any kind of great lizard, the gecko, the monitor lizard, the wall lizard, the skink, and the chameleon. Among all that creep, these are the ones that are unclean to you. Whoever touches them when they are dead will be unclean until the evening. Whatever falls on them when they are dead will become unclean, and whether it is any vessel of wood or clothing or skin or sackcloth, whatever vessel it is with which any work is done, it must be put into water, and it will be unclean until the evening. Then it will be clean. Now if any of them falls into a clay pot, everything that is in it will become unclean, and you are to break it. Any food that may be eaten but has water on it from such a pot will be unclean. Also any drink that may be drunk in any such pot will become unclean. Everything on which part of their carcass falls will become unclean. An oven or a stove for pots is to be broken in pieces. They are unclean and will be unclean to you. Nevertheless, a spring or a cistern for collecting water will be clean, though anyone who touches their carcass will become unclean. If part of a carcass falls on any seed for sowing that has yet to be sown, it is clean. But if water is put on the seed, and part of a carcass falls on it, it is unclean to you. If any animal that you may eat dies, the one who touches its carcass will become unclean until the evening. He who eats of its carcass is to wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. Also, the one who carries its carcass is to wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. Every creeping thing that crawls on the earth is detestable. It shall not be eaten. Whatever moves on its belly or crawls on all fours or has many feet among all the creeping things that crawl on the earth, these you are not to eat, for they are detestable. You are not to contaminate yourselves with any creeping thing that crawls, nor make yourselves unclean with them or defiled by them. For I am Adonai your God. Therefore sanctify yourselves and be holy, for I am holy. You are not to defile yourselves with any kind of creeping thing that moves on the earth. For I am Adonai, who brought you up out of the lands of Egypt to be your God. Therefore you shall be holy, for I am holy. This is the Torah of the animal, the bird, every living creature that moves in the waters, and every creature that creeps on the earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, and between the living thing that may be eaten and the living thing that may not be eaten. 2 Samuel chapter 6 verse 1 to chapter 7 verse 17. Now David again gathered all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David and all the people who were with him arose and set out from Baale, Judah, to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called by the name, the very name of Adonai Tzvaot, who is enthroned between the cherubim. So they loaded the ark of God on a new cart and carried it out of the house of Abinadab that was on the hill. Uzzah and Ahio, Abinadab's sons, drove the new cart as they brought it from the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill, with the ark of God, and Ahio was walking in front of the ark. Meanwhile, David and the whole house of Israel were celebrating before Adonai with all kinds of instruments made of cypress wood, with harps, lyres, tambourines, 3-stringed instruments, and cymbals. But when they reached the threshing floor of Nahon, Uzzah reached out to the ark of God and grasped it, for the oxen had stumbled. And the anger of Adonai was kindled against Uzzah. God struck him down there for his irreverence, so that he died there beside the ark of God. David was upset because of Adonai's outburst against Uzzah. That place is called Perez Uzzah to this day. So David was afraid of Adonai that day. And he said, "How can the ark of Adonai come to me?" David was unwilling to move the ark of Adonai to him, to the city of David. Instead, David diverted it to the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. So the ark of Adonai remained in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months. Meanwhile, Adonai blessed Obed-Edom and his entire household. Then it was reported to King David, saying, "Adonai has blessed the house of Obed-Edom and all that belongs to him because of the ark of God." So David went and brought the ark of God up from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with joy. Now when the bearers of the ark of Adonai had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed an ox and a fatling. Meanwhile, David was dancing before Adonai with all his might, while he was wearing a linen ephod. So David and the entire house of Israel brought up the ark of Adonai with shouting and with the sound of the shofar. But as the ark of Adonai entered the city of David, Saul's daughter Michal looked out of the window and saw King David leaping and dancing before Adonai, so she despised him in her heart. They brought in the ark of Adonai and set it in its place in the midst of the tent that David had pitched for it. Then David offered burnt offerings and fellowship offerings before Adonai. When David had finished offering the burnt offering and fellowship offerings, he blessed the people in the name of Adonai Tzvaot. Then he distributed it to all the people, to the whole multitude of Israel, men and women alike, to everyone a loaf of bread, a cake made in a pan, and a raisin cake. Then all the people departed, each to his home. David returned to bless his own household, but Saul's daughter Michal came out to meet David and said, "How the king of Israel distinguished himself today, when he uncovered himself today in the eyes of the slave girls of his subjects, as any vulgar fellow would shamelessly uncover himself." "It was before Adonai," David said to Michal, "who chose me instead of your father and all his household, appointing me ruler over the people of Adonai, over Israel. So I danced before Adonai, and will dishonor myself even more than this, and will be low in my own eyes. Yet in the eyes of the slave girls whom you mentioned, I will be honored." So Saul's daughter Michal had no children to the day of her death. Now it came about when the king lived in his palace, and Adonai had granted him rest from all his enemies around him, that the king said to the prophet Nathan, "See now, I am living in a house of cedar, yet the ark of God remains within curtains." "Go, do all that is in your heart," Nathan said to the king, "for Adonai is with you." But it came to pass the same night that the word of Adonai came to Nathan, saying, "Go tell my servant David, thus says Adonai, are you to build me a house for me to dwell in? Since the day that I brought up the children of Israel from Egypt to this day, I have not dwelt in a house, but I have been moving about in a tent, even in a tabernacle. In all my journeying among all the children of Israel, did I ever speak a word to any of the tribes of Israel whom I commanded to shepherd my people Israel, saying, Why have you not built me a house of cedar? So now, thus you shall say to my servant David, Thus says Adonai Tzvaot, I took you from the pasture, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. I have been with you wherever you went, and have cut off all your enemies from before you, and I will make your name as great as the greatest on earth. I will also set up a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, so they may dwell in their own place and not be disturbed again. Nor will the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as in the past, since the day that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel. So I will give you rest from all your enemies. Moreover, Adonai declares to you that Adonai will make a house for you. When your days are done and you sleep with your fathers, I will raise up your seed, who will come forth from you after you, and I will establish his kingdom. He will build a house for my name, and I will establish his royal throne forever. I will be a father to him, and he will be a son to me. If he commits iniquity, I will correct him with the rod of men and with the strokes from sons of men. My loving kindness will not be withdrawn from him as I withdrew it from Saul, whom I removed from before you. So your house and your kingship will be secure forever before you. Your throne will be established forever. Just so Nathan spoke all these words and all this vision to David. Hebrews chapter 7, verses 1 to 19. For this Melchizedek was king of Salem, Kohen of God Most High. He met Avraham returning from the defeat of the kings and blessed him, and to him Avraham apportioned a tenth of everything. First, by the translation of his name, he is King of Righteousness, and then also King of Salem, which is King of Shalom. Without father, without mother, without genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like Ben Elohim, he remains a Kohen for all time. Now see how great this man is. Even Avraham the patriarch gave him a tenth out of the plunder. Indeed, those sons of Levi who receive the priesthood have, according to Torah, a command to collect a tithe from the people, that is, from their kin, although they have come out of the loins of Avraham. But this one, who did not have their genealogy, has collected tithes from Avraham and has blessed him, the one holding the promises. Now it is beyond dispute that the lesser is blessed by the greater. In one case, dying men receive tithes, but in the other, one about whom it is testified that he lives on. Through Avraham, even Levi, the one receiving tithes, has paid the tithe, so to speak, for he was still in his father's loins when Melchizedek met him. Now if perfection was through the Levitical priesthood, for based on it the people had been given the Torah, what further need was there for a different Kohen to arise, designated according to the order of Melchizedek, not according to the order of Aaron? For whenever the priesthood is altered, out of necessity, an alteration of law also takes place. For the one about whom these things are said belongs to another tribe, from which no one has officiated at the altar. For it is clear that our Lord has sprung forth from Judah. Concerning this tribe, Moses said nothing about Kohanim. And it is even more evident, if another Kohen arises like Melchizedek, one made not by virtue of a Torah requirement of physical descent, but by virtue of the power of an indestructible life. For it is testified, you are a Kohen forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. For on the one hand, a former requirement is set aside because of its weakness and ineffectiveness. For Torah made nothing perfect, but on the other hand, a better hope is introduced through which we draw near to God.